doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm using my phone, so please. For some reason, the video is not able to play on my laptop. So sorry, we're having trouble playing this video. I'm not sure why. Yeah, so I'm using my laptop. Is that fine?
That is perfect. It's a hot day.
It's not so much today. Today is kind of warm, but it's not hot.
There's a bit of an echo. Could you put your headsets on?
Hang on. Give me 1 sec.
Okay, it looks like we've lost our international star, but I'm sure he'll be with us in a few minutes. There we go. Hello.
Yes, I'm back.
Do
Not
you
sure
hear
what.
me? Do you hear me loud and clear now?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you
Okay.
perfectly.
Awesome stuff. He's an actor based in Los Angeles, California, yet this rising international star was born in Mafikeng right here in South Africa. He starred in several films, was a recipient of the Apollo Award at the Connect Film Festival in Los Angeles, where he was also nominated for Best Actor for his performance in a short film titled Stuck. He goes by the name Riley Bowes. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Oh, man. Thank you so much for honoring our invite.
Well, of course. I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way, of course.
And firstly, before we go anywhere, I know I mentioned this to you a little bit earlier on, but my inbox has been buzzing ever since I posted our flyer that we'd be having this conversation. It's been, hey, Uhata, is he single? Tell him I'm available. Hey, oh, handsome, do you get a lot of attention because of your good looks, young man?
Not really. I don't think so. Yeah. Huh. I don't know how
Modest
to answer
answer.
that. I don't know how to answer that question, but without sounding weird or conceited or something. I don't know.
Come on. You don't have to be humble about it. Come on. We just want the truth. Tell us.
No, I'm a shy guy, so girls don't like shy guys. They like confident alpha males, right? That's what I've heard.
Oh, well, you are an actor. I'm sure you can take on that role perfectly.
Yeah, but I don't like to act in real life, right? I only like to act when I'm on the clock.
when you're getting paid to do it.
Exactly. It's like the Joker said. He was like, if you're good at something, never do it for free.
Got it, got it. So, Riley, we grew up together in Mafikeng, and thanks to Facebook, we reconnected years later, and I'm like, boom, who's
Mm.
this international celebrity guy? What's going on? I'd be seeing all these trailers of you on different films, and your acting was very impressive. How did you land up in LA? Because I don't even know what happened, and here you are, this rising international star.
Um, wow. Well, I've got kind of a long story. I took the scenic route, to where I am right now. Not to say that I've arrived. I've still got a long way to go in my journey. And I mean, I'll always be on my journey, but um, I wasn't always pursuing a career in film and television or stage or acting or a career in the arts. Um, Before I actually have an honors degree in marketing management. So I majored in business marketing and communications, and I worked various jobs in that sort of corporate world before I kind of mustered the courage to finally do what I've always wanted to do. I mean, you know how it is in South Africa. It's very, uh, a career in the arts is not really considered a viable career, particularly, economically. So I come from a family of academics, as you, I think, might know. They're all, learned scholars, and they kind of had it in their minds that, uh, you know, you're either going to be a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, or some kind of office guy, which obviously was not was not satisfactory to me. Um,
Mm.
no matter how much I tried to fit into that mold. And by the way, it wasn't like they forced me to do that or anything like that. I mean, that was my choice. It's just like I succumbed to um, just pretty much the prevailing trends of the day and the society I was in, and I succumbed to my own fears and anxiety. Um, so I decided, let me rather do what I did instead of doing what I feel I'm called to do. Um, but I always sort of had it in my plan, or at least in my hopes, to eventually get into film and television. Um, so it was more like something to fall back on. But then I kind of reached a point where I was just deeply unsatisfied and unfulfilled, and I kind of had to do a lot of soul searching and introspection and prayer and all of that. And it just kind of hit me like in one moment, like, why aren't I doing that thing that I kind of promised myself I was going to do, that thing that I've always wanted to do since I was like 10 years old? Um, and I had to realize and sort of admit to myself that the only reason why I wasn't trying to do it was because I was afraid. Um, so yeah, I kind of had to overcome my fears with faith and hope and uh, just um, and so yeah, I set on this journey to get to the US, study, and kind of just sort of develop and hone my craft, and see whether I can fit in this industry somehow. Whether I have the aptitude, the willingness, because it really is. It's not just about whether you can do it in terms of your ability and what you know. It's also about coming to terms with what it means for you in terms of lifestyle. Um, and those kinds of expectations. I think a lot of actors sort of have this picture of acting like, they look at these major Hollywood stars and they think, yeah, I'm gonna go and get that, and that's what it is. Um, and they kind of, when they're warned about acting, and they kind of get told about that sort of stereotype of the starving artist and all of that, they have it in their minds that it's going to be like, okay, I'm going to try, and then um, if it doesn't happen, I'll just kind of go and do something else. And like most people have, they have different sort of time limits for that, for that to happen, maybe 2 years, 3 years, or whatever. But um, I feel like if you're going to pursue this career, you have to be in it for life. You have to you have to come to terms with the fact that, well, this is it. Whether you're starving or not, this is the road you're going to take. And that doesn't mean you can't do other things. Of course, you can do other things, just like anyone else can do other things. But it's you have to be in it for the long haul. And I think this is something that I had to really understand before doing what I'm doing. Um, I think about someone like Morgan Freeman. So Morgan Freeman, I don't know if you know, but Morgan Freeman sort got his big break after the age of 50. I mean, 50 years old. That means he struggled as an actor, as a, starving artist until he was 50 years old. It means he came to terms with the fact that, like, yeah, this is his career. This is him as an actor. So once I kind of came to terms with that, then then there was just nothing standing in my that fear of like, oh, am I going to be able to make it? Am I going to survive? I can't, you get used to a certain lifestyle, and the thought of not having that lifestyle is like so scary, right? But then once you overcome that, then you'll be surprised at the kind of world that can open up for
Wow.
you. So
Wow.
yeah, so I came to the US. I studied at the Michelle Dana Acting Studio. I studied at UCLA Extension, and all the while I've been, acting in sort of my capacity as a student, and then uh, you know, just pretty much trying to make strides as much as I can in the industry in the time that I've been here. And yeah, this is where I'm at right now.
Wow, wow. And I love how you've mentioned faith, you've mentioned hope, you've mentioned courage, you've mentioned overcoming your fears. And I think fear is the biggest barrier that is standing between so many people and just taking that first step towards their dream, towards their purpose, towards their vision. And even though they've got this burning desire in their heart and they know exactly what they're supposed to do, but that fear just cripples them. So well done to you for eventually overcoming that fear and taking the step in the right direction that led to where you are today. Tell us, how difficult was it getting your first role?
It wasn't very difficult at all, actually. I think the first role that I was cast in, I mean, I'd done some stuff back home prior to coming here, but like, really not a lot. Some stage productions. I'd been in some commercials, a few commercials here and there. But the first role that I did here in the US was, funny enough, I played a South African
Oh,
character, and the lady who cast me, she's great, by the way, a wonderful young female director
mhm.
by the name of Kamogelo Mokoena. I think she's in South Africa right now, but I digress. Um, she reached out to me because she was looking for um, someone who's South African. She wanted a kind of authentic um, portrayal of this character. And I mean, at the time, she was in the US, so there were all these American boys, trying to, putting on their best Wakanda accents for for a Sotho boy in the mountains, I mean, it's great. I think that's a wonderful. I think that we should have more of that. More African African characters, and I think that's a good thing. But I think she was just trying to capture something a little bit more realistic and authentic. And it was uh, she kind of just reached out to me and we had a conversation. I didn't even read for the part. And just from our conversation, she was like, "Yeah, I think you can, I think you can do it." And then I think she kind of rolled the dice. She didn't know what it would be like, but a lot of sort of satisfaction, and she was pleased by what she saw at our first rehearsal. Um, and yeah, I mean, at the time, I myself didn't know whether it was going to be good and satisfactory. So I was happy to see that, like, that things were going well, and I was speaking Sesotho in the part, like it was great. It's like basically my understanding of Sesotho is like Kistswana, but you don't roll your R's basically. you know. So I'm all over the place. It's so funny. Because it's like she wanted it to be like Soto to the core. Um, and yeah, it was great. We were out in the mountains in Malibu Creek, and dressed in this sort of traditional Soto garb, and it was really cool. It was actually, now that I look back on it, um, it's quite amazing at that level of production. Uh, that was the first production I did. It was pretty, it was elaborate. It had great production value. We were on location, and it's really good. I'm very proud of that film. And then obviously from there, it got easier with the nerves. And once you've walked the walk, it's easier to walk the walk again.
Speaking of playing a young Mosotho,
Mm.
I wanted to find out who Setswana sone a o santse o se itse, a o santse o itse Setswana, and don't you miss like bo di dumelang ra o kae a lo
Mm.
tsogile a lo
Mm.
siame.
No, no, ke a se itse. Nka se se lebale. So, it's very the thing with Setswana, I'm not gonna lie, it's actually a very tough language. It's in my years, I've come to the opinion that I think it's the most difficult language in South Africa. I did Zulu in high school, and I found it way easier. So even in the African languages back home, I was like, wow, Setswana is just far more complex. Just all the different prefixes and suffixes, and every word changes, and it's a lot. So I will admit that being away from South Africa and speaking English 24/7 means I I do feel like my Setswana is, it's not leaving me per se. Like, I'll never forget Setswana, but it is kind of taking a knock. You know, it's just a different mode. It's a different mode. If I was speaking Zulu all the time, it would be easier to switch back to Setswana because I think they have a similar kind of root, right? But speaking English all the time, it just has a completely different root. It's a Latin language, right? So it's like the switch from English to, say, I don't know, German or Spanish is probably easier than the switch from English to Setswana or Zulu. Um, so yeah, no, but I'm still here, girl. I kere ke le
Okay.
fika. Ke le fika.
Assemblief toch. Assemblief
Mm.
toch. Kana o representa rona. Ke kopa gore o nne o re founela just for practice. Just for practice nje, yeah?
Definitely, definitely. My mom's always giving me a hard time about that. So when I when I when I'm on the phone with her and we're having real talk, you know, she insists that we speak Kastswana. She's like,
That's
"Ke batla
good.
gore ba go utlwe," you know, and I'm like, I feel you, ma.
That's good. Big
So
up to mom.
yeah.
Big ups to mom. And being South African, does it work for you or against you?
You mean in the industry?
Yeah.
Um, hmm. It depends. I think it depends. I don't think it works against me. I don't think it works against me at all. Um, what if you're a filmmaker and you have a character in mind, you've written a character, you just want someone who can be accurate in their portrayal of that character. So for someone like me, it would be a disadvantage if I couldn't do the standard American dialect. If I couldn't do that, which by the way a lot of international actors can't, and I think that's quite limiting to them in terms of the roles that they can play. I mean, if you're going to play a guy from LA or from New York or whatever, you can't be talking the way I'm talking now. If that's where the character's from. So I pretty much all of the parts that I've played, except for the one I told you about, that first role, have been American characters. So I haven't found that my accent or my being away at all. The only thing that has been a disadvantage for me, as being a South African, um, has been immigration restrictions, which everyone who is not an American is subject to. Um, Otherwise, I think actually being a South African has been an advantage in a way because uh, people find it endearing, to find to since they like they're intrigued and they're interested to know about um, my homeland, um, and yeah, so that's always a good way in. It's an icebreaker, and you'll be surprised at how valuable those can be in this industry.
Absolutely. But do you get homesick?
Not really. Not really. I mean, I miss my family. I miss my friends from back home. I miss the people, you know, but not so much the place. LA is not that different from South Africa in terms of like the way it looks, the weather, etc. It's actually pretty much exactly the same as like Pretoria, for instance. Um, it's I don't feel like I'm in some vastly different place when I'm here, but you know, I miss the people. I miss the warmth of South Africans, um, the sense of community. So LA is it's a very sort of individualistic society. It's full of people from all over the world trying to become superstars and trying to make tons of money, and everyone is just kind of doing their own thing. So there's despite it being such a populous um, city, um, there's still this real sense of isolation, you know, um, and that can take a toll sometimes. Definitely, that can take a toll, but it's not like I just miss South Africa per se. I miss the food. That's one thing I miss, like the food, I miss not just like home cooked meals from back home, but like even like our fast food, you know, just doesn't taste the same. Like
Oh.
the other day, I had a dream about a King Steer burger, like a dream. When you're dreaming about food, you know that like there's
Oh,
something real there, you know. Like I dreamt about a King Steer burger and those chips with that special seasoning, you know. Yeah, so
oh my
fries.
word.
They call them fries here, not
Yeah,
chips.
yeah.
Fries. Mhm.
And speaking of food, what is your favorite South African dish that you're actually missing?
Wow. I can't think of one per se, but like, you know, a lot of different dishes. You know, I miss like boerewors, you know, braai vlees in general. That's something that I definitely miss. Um, chakalaka. Ah, chakalaka. Um, you know, pap. I wasn't really that big a fan of pap, but like now I'm like, oh man. Um, um, yeah,
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
exactly, you know. Um, but yeah, I'm generally not that much of a foodie anyway, you know, so that helps. I think if you're a foodie and you're doing what I'm doing, that it can be problematic, you know.
Mm, mm. Earlier on, you spoke about Morgan Freeman. Is that
Mhm.
one of your favorite actors?
Um, yeah, I love Morgan Freeman, but you know, I wouldn't say he's one of my favorite actors. He's a great actor, and I admire him a lot, obviously. But no, my favorite. I've got a whole bunch of favorites. DiCaprio. I think Leonardo DiCaprio is my favorite actor. I love Denzel Washington. He's probably up there somewhere. Um, Daniel Day-Lewis. Uh, wow, Christian Bale. He's amazing. I really enjoy Michael B. Jordan. I'm just loving, you know, the way his career is going, and I've kind of been following his career since Fruitvale Station, which was his breakout role, and I just think he's an amazing actor. Um, I've got so many that I love: Ian McKellen, Gary Oldman, uh, you know, Anthony Hopkins, the legends, Tom Hardy, um, some younger actors like Andrew Garfield. I love Shia LaBeouf. Um, uh, who else?
I
Yeah,
think
there's some great actors out there.
I think I only recognized one name, and I think that was like or two, like Leonardo and Michael. Those are the only two. And speaking of actors, who would you love to have a kissing scene with?
Uh, a kissing. I don't know. I don't think I would love to have a kissing scene with anyone. I kind of dread that actually. It's not something that I that I look upon fondly. A lot of people uh think about kissing scenes like how they think about them in real life, right? Like, oh, I kissed this girl and she's so hot or whatever. But
Yeah.
kissing like on set on like in a film is
Mm.
nothing like that. It's work. Like it's not nice when you're kissing like in in that kind of setting. It's like okay, and then you kiss, okay, and it's like but okay, so you have to get past all that awkwardness, kissing someone you don't really even know that well. um yeah, it's not something it's not something that I it's not even something I'm hoping for really, to kiss. Like if I had a career where I never once had to kiss a girl on stage or on screen, I'd be pretty happy about that. Be like, yeah, you know. So yeah.
Listen, we believe you. We believe you, Riley. It's okay. We'll leave it at that. Tell me, So a lot of your posts are about God or about spirituality. Would you say that you're spiritual?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm spiritual. Uh, I'm religious,
Mm,
which has somehow become like a dirty word
mm,
in our day and age. Which and I think that's just wrong. I think it's problematic. Um, people often say, in our church today, it's popular to say things like, "Oh no, it's a relationship, not a religion." And my thoughts about that, my response to that is, well, it is a relationship. You're absolutely right, but it is a religion too.
mm,
Meaning there are precepts um, that unify us. Like my Jesus is not different from your Jesus. It's the same Jesus. Like so, and that Jesus has uh, principles that we all have to adhere to. You know,
mm,
so I mean, I think it's good to understand uh, your relationship with God as a kind of personal relationship. Meaning an intimate relationship, um,
mm,
an honest relationship where you can be yourself fully, and one that you lean on regularly. But I think there's a kind of trap in that kind of message of, it's a relationship, not a religion, that leads people to believe that actually, no, you can just do whatever you want and believe whatever you want because it's your relationship with your Jesus. Jesus is something else to me, and it's like, no, but like, it's the same Jesus, and this is what he says about this. So yeah, I would say that I'm religious. That doesn't mean I'm a legalist, you know,
mm,
um, and it doesn't mean that I'm righteous or perfect, or or that I'm just like everyone else, right? I do
mm,
wrong sometimes, and I make mistakes just like everyone else. But I feel like as Christians, which I know you are, um,
mm,
we have to agree on like what's expected of us, and what God says about certain things, about certain fundamental things. We can disagree about eschatological matters like, um, you know, when is Jesus coming back? Is it going to be pre-tribulation, post-tribulation, mid-tribulation, or you know, things like that, which I think are kind of peripheral. We can disagree on, but the core fundamental precepts regarding salvation and um, things like that. It's like, no, we can't. You can't just have your own personal Jesus who says something different to what the Jesus of the Bible says.
absolutely.
So yeah, yeah, that was kind of long-winded what I said, but I
No,
don't
but
know. I felt
I
strongly
love
about
that.
that.
I love
Mm,
that, that the benchmark is the same. The benchmark has been set, and
mhm,
there's certain values and standards that can't be changed. We can all go to different denominations,
mm.
but I love what you're saying. And would it be correct then to say that God is your source of inspiration when you're feeling down, when you're feeling like you need a pick me up, when you're feeling uninspired?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think um, it was God who set me on this path. I had to really lean on Him and look to Him and trust Him to even get started on what I'm doing right now. And it's been amazing. I have to tell you, Melo, it's been like there's a lot of uh, anxiety, and there's a lot that you have to deal with when you're doing what I'm doing.
Mm,
Um, this sort of lack of security. And if you're working a 9 to 5 job for some big company that's paying your salary monthly, and a certain portion of it is going to your retirement and all of that, there's this sense of security, like, oh no, I'm good. But when you're an actor, an artist really trying to break in, if you're not grounded in your faith, I just don't know how you can do it. Like, I don't know how, like, there are atheist actors out here. It's like, how do you find peace of mind? So yeah, my faith is is really central to everything that I'm doing. It's like the lifeblood of what I'm doing. I need to um, uh, connect with God daily, for reassurance, and um, you know, because it's the road, it's less traveled, you know. Um, so yeah, and can I tell you, doing that has been so rewarding. It's been so rewarding. Like, no one could ever convince me that God is not real, or that God is not for me, because I've, found myself sort of between a rock and a hard place so many times, and he just comes through for me all the time. It's like, yeah, yeah, it's legit. It's definitely legit, and there's just no way around it. It's like, I've just God has shown His hand in my life so clearly, so many times now, that I can't help but um, glorify Him and proclaim His name from the rooftops. So yeah.
Yeah, wow. And it's absolutely amazing and inspirational to watch. Um, and I must say, I completely agree with you. You know, when people ask, how do you remain so positive when you're going through certain things? How do you get back up after a knock? And it is that hope in one going, that hope that he has something better tomorrow, that it's definitely not going to end here. And I love encouraging myself with the verse that I will live to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. And I'm always like, no, no, in the land of the living, not in the land of the dead. So as
Mm.
long as I am alive, I've got to see the goodness of the Lord. um have you found your purpose?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, your purpose, I I I've I I've changed the way I understand that term, right? Purpose.
Mm,
I've always thought of purpose as this sort of singular thing, or a singular event. I was
mm,
created for this moment right here, and um, it's not necessarily how I look at it anymore. I think I'm always living out my purpose, regardless of where I am and what I'm doing at that moment. Even when I was back home in South Africa,
mm,
um, doing what I was doing, working for, you know, Iveco. I worked for this trucking company called Iveco. It was terrible. Oh my goodness. But I was living my purpose at that time. That was my purpose. God was showing me something in that time. He was teaching me something, or training me in some way, and that's why I don't regret the road that I've taken. I don't regret it. I'm thankful for it, because even today, when I always used to feel bad, like, saying, like, oh man, like, there are all these great actors, and they've been acting since they were like teenagers, and look at this kid, he's amazing, he's in this big blockbuster movie, and he's like, you know 19.
mm,
And I've come to realize that the way it happened for me was a real blessing, because what I'm doing requires a lot of maturity.
Mm,
Um, it requires a lot of groundedness. It just requires so much wisdom, and a lot of what I have now I wouldn't have had if I didn't go the through what I went through back then. So that was all part of my purpose. It is my purpose. I'm living my purpose right now, and whatever I'm doing tomorrow, even if it happens that I quit acting and do something else, that's still going to be my purpose. Because my purpose, as long as I'm leaning on God, as long as I'm connecting with God and living with God, I am in my purpose, you know?
absolutely. And I'm a firm believer that everything works out for our good, and you were absolutely at the right place at the right time. And everything that we go through prepares us for where we're going and for what we've asked God for. What are you afraid of?
Hmm. What am I afraid of? Again, with God, I fear less and less. The fears become fewer and fewer and fewer. Even when I compare my life now to, or like my thinking now to the way it was when I first arrived here, I had a lot of fears about, oh, this has to work out. What if I don't make it? Oh, what am I gonna do if this doesn't happen? What if I fail at this? And now I'm just like, nah, it's fine. God got me. God got me. Like I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I think, um, yeah, I'm really, I fear. I guess if I'm just gonna be honest, I fear thing bad things happening to people I care about, people I love. You know, um, and that's something I guess that I've uh, really had to deal with in my time here, and I deal with it more and more the more time I spend here, away from home, away from my family. Sometimes you'll just find yourself thinking like, oh, I hope my mom's okay, or I hope my brother, my sister, my cousins, my friends, um, since coming here, uh, one of my best friends, probably my best friend, has actually passed away, and I had to go back home for his funeral last year. No, not yeah, last year. And that has kind of put a certain amount of fear in me about things happening. I don't know, just being away, getting that call. It was devastating. I was at work, and like I just got a call, you know, and it's like, wait, how did this happen? It's that call. I dread that kind of call. I'll be honest about that for sure. Um, I dread that kind of call, but you know, even with that, it's all I can do is pray for God to look after the people that I care about, that He may protect them. Um, but, whatever happens, it's God who'll get me out of it. It's God
Absolutely.
who'll get me through it. Uh, so, yeah,
Absolutely.
everything comes back to God. Everything. It's like, okay, well, here's the situation. How do I do this? Okay, God, please don't let this happen, or please make this happen. But if it doesn't happen, I'm going to come back to you again for you to get me through it. And then for you to show me what to do from there. It's, yeah.
I think with COVID and the year 2020, for a lot of us losing so many people, for me personally, it has caused me to appreciate life more and to just go for it, whatever it is that is pressed in my heart, that I feel that, God is leading me in this direction. Face the fear and just do it. What is the one thing bucket list that you just have to do? Like you have to do it.
Hmm. Like, you mean like an experience, like a fun.
Anything. What's the one thing you just have to do before um you die? What's that one thing you can't leave this earth without doing?
Huh. I don't know. I've never really thought about it. I mean, I have goals, I have serious goals in terms of my career. Um, but it's not like a specific thing. Like, if that doesn't happen, I'm not going to be happy. You know what I mean? I don't know. I, oh, there's some countries that I'd love to visit
Travel.
before I die. There's some traveling that I'd like to do for sure. Um, I'd love to visit Israel. Do a pilgrimage to Israel, to Jerusalem.
Wow.
Um, I'd love to visit Japan for some reason, Tokyo. My mom and my sisters and my aunt went there recently, and I was so jealous. Oh my goodness, that was tough for me. It was tough. Um, yeah, there's some places I'd love to see and
Mm,
and visit, but yeah, apart from my career goals,
mm.
I can't really I can't really think of anything in particular. You know,
Speaking
I'm just
of your
gonna.
mom,
Mhm.
speaking of your mom is watching. She says, "Watching my dearest son."
Yeah, I see you, Ma. I see you. I hope I'm not embarrassing her.
At this moment, on this very day, are you content?
I am. I am. And I've had to really learn to be, you know. Um,
Mm,
I'm not sure which verse speaks about this, but Paul wrote, I think it was Paul who wrote, he said, I've learned to be content whether I have plenty or
mm,
little. And I just found that to be a profound truth. If you don't find happiness outside of all the things that you want, then you're not going to find it with those things.
absolutely.
So you have to find contentment, and you find contentment in God. There's just no other place. It's not in the things of this world. It's not in
Mm,
the people of this world.
mm.
People like to say, yeah, it's not in material things, so it's in love with other people, and it's like, no, it's not there either. You're getting there, but it's not quite. Nah. Mm-mm. So people put stock in their relationships, in their marriages, or their children. I mean, the children one seems noble, right? Yeah, my life is all about my children, and it's like, I see the that's noble and all of that, but no.
Mm,
Contentment is found in Christ.
absolutely.
That's where you find peace. That's just what I think, and without being alienating to people who are not Christians. That's just who I am. That's just what I believe. You can
Absolutely.
believe what you want to believe, but that's what I believe.
Ain't no shame in your game.
Yeah.
What do you know for sure?
Um, that Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. That that the Bible is the word of God.
Mm,
That whatever happens, I will be fine. Trust in God. Um, and that fulfillment actually in this life is found in
mm,
loving God and loving others,
Absolutely.
not in loving yourself, which I think is a major misconception that we have in our society. This idea of self love, right? Love yourself, love yourself. No, I think we naturally love ourselves. That's that's a given. Of course, you're gonna love us. We're gonna love ourselves. But I think loving this focus on trying to love yourself is what leads to a lot of the problems we have. That's why we have, since the proliferation of this idea of self love, we have more depression, anxiety, and actually some warped kind of self. I think it's actually hurting us trying to love ourselves. I think we find peace and joy and contentment more and find in loving others,
Absolutely.
trying, putting others first actually.
Absolutely. How would you like to be remembered?
um hmm. As someone who was always true to his convictions, as someone who genuinely sought to do the right thing, whatever the right thing may be,
Mm.
and as someone whose life glorified God.
Wow. 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 You are leaving me speechless here. Hey, you're such an inspiration. You've grown up to be an amazing, amazing young man. And it's been absolute bliss having this conversation with you, and just watching you grow and just watching you reach for your dream. Thank you, thank you, thank you for for overcoming your fear. Thank you for mastering the courage to go after your dream. And I pray that um, God will open doors that no man can shut for you, and that you will just boom in your career, that you'll become everything that God created you to be, that you'll continue inspiring um, young people and even older people. Because I mean, I'm older than you, but I is inspired by you.
Oh, thank you. That's a kind thing to say. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Um, we're just going to go into the last segment of our show. I'm just going to ask you 5 questions before we wrap it up. And if you can just answer as quickly as possible. Dead or alive, who would you love to have dinner with?
Oh, one person?
One person.
Wow. One person. Hmm. Ah, I don't want to make a choice that's going to be controversial. Um, oh man, there's so many people though that I'd like to have dinner with. Um,
Just one.
I'm gonna say, okay, for because I'm speaking to a South African audience, I will say probably Nelson Mandela.
What's your favorite film?
The Lord of the Rings trilogy. They're three
The-
movies, but I look at them as one. Hmm.
Theater or the big screen?
The big screen for sure.
Beard or no beard?
Well, no beard, no beard.
What is your favorite quote or scripture?
Hmm. Okay, man. there's some great scriptures, a lot of great scriptures that I love. Um, you mentioned one that I like. All things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purposes.
Absolutely,
There's
absolutely.
another one I like. What no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, what no human mind has conceived, that is what the Lord has prepared for those that love him.
I love him. Absolutely. And definitely what he has prepared for you is amazing. Everything has been working together for your good. And we look forward to seeing what God is going to do in your life. My favorite quote, well, it's actually a scripture. I used to think it's a quote. To whom much is given, much is required. And I absolutely believe that um, and therefore that is why you went through what you went through. But I believe that you're ready, prepared,
Mm,
and able for everything that's coming your way. Before we wrap it
awesome.
up, I just want to read some of the comments that have been coming through because they're so busy, man. Riley,
Hobbies.
so busy.
Hobbies.
Rati Jude Molawa says to me, Riley family.
Ah,
Uh,
wonderful.
Tato Glazer Mullo.
Mull of fire.
Tapelo Tabane says, really proud of you, Rale. Twara that naga kana unkwe ulinyekwana. I don't know if I said that correctly.
Mm, killing Nekwan.
And then she also went on to say, yes, Mangwani Kilipile Khobokwe cooks up a storm.
For sure.
Uh, Rabetse Rambis Charo, Lena Armolo.
Mull of fire. Fire.
Fire, fire, fire. Um, Ostapelo Tlhabane a re o botlhale naka poifo modimo ke tshimologo ya botlhale. Yes,
Mm,
he has purposed your path. Wait and see, my brother. He is just starting a good work in you, and he will surely see you to the very end. Ostebogo Kgobokwe yena says, all love. And she
mm,
says, we're all watching and proud. Huitsi Modimo.
mm.
Ostapelo Tlhabane again says that you are gifted, that you are powerful beyond measure, that God is smiling down on you, Okobokwe, the artistic us, the God fearing
Mm.
us, and again says that you are gifted.
Oh, thank you to everyone who commented. Wow, thank you. And by the way, for those who might not understand, those who speak maybe only English or another language, um, poifo modimo ke tshimologo ya botlhale. That means the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. For those, which is another great scripture, portion of scripture. I love that. Maybe I should have added that to the favorite quotes. Um,
Absolutely.
mm.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, Melo. Thank you so much for having me. It was wonderful talking to you, and I'm loving what you're doing. I'm watching you too, by the way, and you're also an amazing inspiration to me. Let's just keep moving forward, following our dreams, doing following what God put in our hearts. Um, and yeah, we can never go wrong trusting God, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. Before we go, I just want you to look into the camera on the left
On
and
the
just
left,
say, I'm just speaking prophetically. Come on now. The one with the red light, and just say, be great, for if not you, then who?
be great, for if not you, then who?
Then who? Absolutely. Be great, for if not you, then who? Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in. It's been an amazing, amazing, amazing conversation with the great Riley Bowes. And yeah, wow, I am still blown away. Um, It's been amazing. I'm inspired. Catch us again next week when we chat to another inspirational and great somebody. My name is Melo Mtetwa. God bless. Signing out. Thank you so much, Riley. Keep well and cheers.
Bye bye. Thank you.